You can effectively define your audience, combine the demographic with the symptom, what they're feeling and they're struggling with, and the tangible outcome they desire. The tangible outcome, what does that mean? That means the tangible outcome is something that they truly actually feel and measure. Okay. So understand this. It is and it isn't. Here's a tangible and an intangible outcome. All right. So I'm gonna give you a few examples. We're gonna run through this and we're gonna keep it moving. Okay. So some examples. Intangible, grow your business. Tangible, have your first $1 million revenue in a year. Intangible means you want to grow your business. Tangible means having your first 1 million in revenue the first year.
Welcome to the Social Mojo Podcast, the place where entrepreneurs and creatives come to discover the secrets behind building a powerful, engaging brand without spending a fortune. Let's meet the host, Mr. Anthony Porter, your guide on this journey to harness the power of organic social media. In each episode, we dive deep into the strategies that work, sharing insights, actionable tips, and success stories from experts and trailblazers who've done it all. From planning your content with precision, growing your audience authentically, to monetizing your passion effectively, we've got you covered. So, whether you're just starting out or looking to elevate your social media game, stay tuned. Because here at the Social Mojo Podcast, we're all about making your brand unforgettable organically.
All right, y'all, welcome back. Hey, today is day number 2 of the 12 days of podcasting. And we're basically discussing how to grow and monetize your podcast in 2024. Now, if you haven't heard, I am Anthony Porter. I'm the host of the Social Mojo Podcast, where we help entrepreneurs, small business owners, startups, influencers start, grow, and monetize their podcast. So in today's video, today's course lesson, we are going to discuss the journey of the podcast growth. All right. So the previous one, we did the introduction and we talked about the Cat 1 premise, which is the category 1. So on day 2 of this journey of the podcast growth, we're going to dive into how to ensure that your podcast has a category 1, which is a Cat 1 premise. All right. So we discussed the podcast ladder in the last video. So having a Cat 1 premise is level 1 of the podcast ladder. The work behind that is tedious. It's very tedious. So being tedious, and many skip right into and jump right over some of the most important parts, trying to get more listeners. We got to keep it 100 with you. We're going to keep it a buck with you. A Cat 1 premise alone not or will not be the reason your show grows. But you have to understand this, not having a Cat 1 premise is the reason that it doesn't. Now, it sounds cliche, okay? So you don't want to skip over having the Cat 1 premise, but because it doesn't necessarily mean that just because you have that one premise that your show is going to grow. What that means is if you don't have it, it cannot grow. So as a reminder, to define what a Cat 1 premise is just like this. It has a unique combination of 3 things: audience, mission, and a format. So the audience is who your podcast is for. Your mission is what your podcast will do for them. And then the format is how will it do it. So it starts with the audience. And there are so many different ways that we can discuss the audience. Like the old way is demographic, the new way is psychographic. So the old way to define an audience. Yeah, my notes down here. So if you see me glancing down, please believe me that I'm trying to give you all the value, the best value for free with no all of that unnecessary hacking on saying, hey, you get this. All right. So it's like most podcasters. When you sit back and you ask, or when I ask you to tell me, so I've asked several podcasters and I've asked them questions. So when I ask them to tell me to define their audience, they default to the old way, the Renaissance way, the dinosaur way. And they basically tell you that my podcast is for a certain female, certain male in this age range of 25 to 45 who live in the U.S. That's the old way, all right? And I promise you this, unless you are really focused on specific individuals. So let's say if I asked you to define your podcast, you tell me it's for women, all right? 25 years old, who basically live in a rural area of out. They're not listening to what you probably are talking about. They're not listening to the same thing as a 45-year-old woman who lived down in Tupelo, Mississippi, two different parts of the world. So that's the old way. So unlikely you're laughing at me because I just gave you specifics of two different parts of the United States. Within the United States, we're not talking about overseas right now. We're talking about the United States that possibly listen to podcasts, might listen to what you got to say, but I guarantee you that they're not because it's two different areas like Iowa, Mississippi. Very, very, very different. Okay. Now that's the old way to define the audience. In today's world of data and personalized algorithms, content offers options are endless. So remember, the content that you create determines who listens to your podcast. All right. Now, the approach falls way short. That approach falls way short. Defining a woman, a 25-year-old woman in Iowa versus a 45-year-old woman in Mississippi. You need to be more specific when it comes to how to define your audience. We don't focus on demographics. I told you before, we focus on psychographics. The new way to define it is this is the new way to define your audience. All right. So what's a psychographic? A psychographic focuses on current psychology of an individual, their problems, their hopes, their fears, and their dreams. You got to think. Most business owners who are in business, if you're in business for the right reason, you're trying to help somebody define and cure pain points with desired solutions that can help them with their pain points. When you're dealing with the new age of psychographics, it's about what they're experiencing right there, right there, right now, and what they rather be experiencing instead. So it sounds almost the same, but it's truly not. And you know, we call what they're experiencing their symptoms. So it's like going to the doctor. You're sick. Here's the symptoms. We got the prescription. The prescription is the outcome. So what they rather be experiencing instead, that's the outcome. So the pain point, something that some people want to be financially free. You have the solution with inside your show that can help guide them. Not make them financially free, but help guide them to get to that point. So there are favorite ways to describe podcast audience because it so quickly cuts to the core of who you're trying to serve. Remember that you are trying to be a servant. You are not just literally having a podcast. Your podcast is supposed to provide info, it's supposed to provide value, it's supposed to provide tons and tons of information that can help people cure their pain. So when we talk about this, we talk about getting clarity. We talk about how we combine the old way and the new way. It's simple. We take both of them and put them together. And once we put them together, it also helps you to understand what it is that people truly need and what it is that people truly desire. So you take the two ingredients and then you make up the psychographic, the new way. You combine the one demographic, the old way, with the new demographic, the psychographic. You know, the one that helps you to find the problem, the pain point, the current situation. So what you're left with is a extremely specific description of your target audience. And that's what you want to have. You want to be specific. You want to get right to the point. You want to get right down to it. You want to know exactly what it is that they're going through. So you can provide the value to help your people get to the next level. So define your audience, demographic plus the symptom plus the tangible outcome, psychographic. This is where you get clarity on who your show is for. So you can effectively define your audience, combine the demographic with the symptom what they're feeling and they're struggling with, and the tangible outcome they desire. The tangible outcome, what does that mean? That means the tangible outcome is something that they truly actually feel and measure. Okay. So understand this, it is and it isn't. Here's a tangible and an intangible outcome. All right. So I'm going to give you a few examples. We're going to run through this and we're going to keep it moving. Okay. So some examples: intangible, grow your business. Tangible, have your first $1 million revenue in a year. Intangible means you want to grow your business. Tangible means having your first 1 million in revenue the first year. All right. Intangible, get in great shape. Tangible, reach 10% body fat. Now, if you're anything like me, you should have a $1 billion routine where you wake up, you work out, you meditate. Don't even touch your phone. Don't check an email for the first hour. Get you a little water, go through, clear your mind, prepare your day, set some goals. $1 billion routine. Again, intangible, learn random facts. Tangible, be undefeated at trivia night. Listen, I like to play games with some of my counterparts. Now, here's one thing a lot of people don't understand. If I'd rather be hanging with people that I can do business with than to hang with people that I don't do business with. And it sounds cliche, but here's why that works. People that I can do business with in the long run, we have the same mindset. We're all trying to reach a goal. People that I don't do business with, and trust me, my circle is small, but my circle has business folk in it. There's probably 10 of us. We're all business minded and business owners. A couple of us have our own podcast. One runs a radio station, one runs a record label up on the East Coast. Councilman, general manager at a radio station, podcast host, an agency. We all pest control. We all run multiple aspects, right? Now, I'm not saying that that's the right way, but that's just my mindset. Now we're going to bring all of that together. So you'll see how everyone, my circle, thinks. So defining the audience, we all go through this. Like I sat down and we have trivia night. And most of the trivia night, and we sat down, we still have fun. But most of the trivia night is based off of ideas that we bounce off each other, and then we play games to see if everybody's on the same page. If everybody's not on the same page, sometimes that idea doesn't work specifically. So what we do is we designate a specific business for that time that we get together, and we bounce ideas off of that for that person. And if everybody's in agreement, and then we test it out. Once we test it out, either you roll with it or you don't. Most of the time, people have rolled with it, and guess what? They've been successful. So our think tank is a lot different than everybody else's think tank. We play games with it, sit back, barbecue, family, friends night, things like that. And then once we get those ideas out, everything is perfect for us. All right, so we choose our demographic. We go beyond the age and the generation. We think professional life, fitness level. See what I'm saying? Psychographic is something different. Normally we think in the age, the generation, male, female, black, white, all of that. No, we think in either professional or non-professional, your lifestyle, you either rich or you good, then your fitness level. We go, again, we're demographic, because this is the day and age that everything has changed, okay? So we identify the symptoms. What are the current challenges and fears, and what are they currently experiencing? Some people fear that they will not be successful. Some people are experiencing the fact that they're living paycheck to paycheck. And then their tangible outcome, make sure it's measurable, and basically we can get them to that point. This is going to come in handy for the next lesson that we're going to talk about tomorrow. All right. So just keep that in mind, because the tangible outcome is we want to get people from not living from pay, especially with this one. They feel like they're living paycheck to paycheck, but we want to get them away from that thought. We want to get them away from living from paycheck to paycheck. So you have to understand, you have to visually see that. So now, when you define, and this is all within your podcast, but you can also take this and use it within your business. together, that's how we define our audience. So the demographic who has a symptom of what the tangible outcome is going to be. So here's some real life examples from podcasters that I have literally listened to, namely people like David Shepard, Nehemiah Davis, Pat Flynn, Joe Rogan, and the list goes on and on and on. And Russell Brunson's, ClickFunnels podcast. So here's some examples, and mostly everything sounds almost the same, but things do change. Here it is: 9-to-5 workers who aren't fulfilled and want to leave their W-2s to build, a lifestyle that don't need a vacation for. So basically, people who want to quit their job, go into business for themselves, and be able to do what they want to do when they want to do it on automation without having to check in with the boss. All right. And then women who are overworked, overachievers, and want to get everything done by 9 to 5. These are most of the people, like women. I've sat back and I paid attention. Some women don't get the recognition that they supposed to get. You have people out here who want to say women don't deserve it. I think that's a bold-faced lie. A woman who's out here putting in the work just as well as a guy who's putting in the work needs to be considered. Now, do I think that they have to work harder? Yeah, because there are so many aspects in life that force them to have to think that way. Instead of everything being equal, see, it's just like being one specific ethnicity, excuse me, I go with words, versus another. Some people get some opportunities. It's all important on which group you're in. I'm not going to stand here and say that all white folk help out all white folk. I'm not going to say that all black folk help out all black folk. What I'm going to say is you have some situations where people feel like that you can't be a part of their circle, so they go somewhere else, and then everybody else wants to play the blame game. We're not doing that here. You have to understand, people want to get to a place where they are set financially and they have financial freedom, not sitting at a desk wondering when something is going to take place and working hard, and then only to find out that what they busting their tail for is not going to work because A, the color of their skin, or B, their gender. Now, here's some more. Men who have no spare time but want to see their abs for the first time. So people don't, have time to work out, but they want to feel buff. Well, you got to figure out how you're going to get the time to do that. If you're working hard, you're not going to be able to do that. Or if you don't have the right skill set to understand that training and nutrition helps you out, you're not going to reach that goal. And then last but not least, podcasters who are seeing no downloads growth and want to reach 10,000 downloads per month. Hey, listen, that takes time. All right. That takes a tremendous amount of time. Now, before I let you go, I have to say this. I want to call out something. I want you to sit back and think about this. When you define your audience this way, you're not niching down. So podcasters have asked the question if they should go broad or niche down. The answer is neither, for real. Trust me, it's neither one of them. You have to think like you want clarity. You want to have clarity with what you're doing. If you are trying to take a photo and your image is blurred, you don't fix it by zooming in or zooming out. You fix it by adjusting the focus. Focus is what provides clarity. All right. So you're not niching down. You're not going abroad. You're just focusing on what needs to be focused on from your podcast to reach the people that you are targeting. Now, it's not how many listeners you have or you could potentially have. It's about the level of clarity that you have on who they are and what they want. So take a crack at it. And I guarantee you, when we go into the next lesson tomorrow, day 3, you will start to, if you're writing things down, you will start to understand that this is what exactly needs to be done in order for you to take your podcast to the next level. All right. Once again, man, I want to thank you for stopping by. It's your man, Anthony, over at the Social Mojo Podcast. We in the building, but we out of here for right now, man. I'm going to talk to y'all in a minute. Peace.
And that wraps up another episode of the Social Mojo Podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in and spending your time with us today. We hope you found our conversation insightful and engaging. Don't forget to subscribe to the Social Mojo Podcast on your favorite platform, and be sure to download the episodes so you never miss out on our latest content. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue bringing you great discussions every week. A special thank you to our incredible executive producers, Sincere and Charlie Straughter, Rhea Cash, and Theory Porter. Your vision and dedication make this podcast possible. Remember, the Social Mojo Podcast is a proud part of the Amplify Pod Academy, where we strive to amplify voices and share stories that matter. Until next time, stay connected and keep the mojo flowing. Bye.